Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. I am your DJ Hammer, and I'm joined by two of my favorite Wednesday show hosts, Jency Maxey.
Hello,
and Terry Diamantis.
I'm turning off X.
Okay.
Do you know, Terry, that the minute you share anything on X, you have a 30-second period to turn it off right away, because it'll show you something. It'll have you like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
I am sorry about that. I muted the YouTube stream, but because Brave does this thing where if a tab is inactive for too long, it like minimizes it. When it woke up, it decided it didn't need to be muted anymore.
Okay.
That's weird, but it's fixed now.
So this time I had no problem starting the show, but my co-host had the problems.
Yes.
Well, we got to do something different every week. I mean, it can't be boring, right?
Well, we like to liven things up.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Well, I assume both of you are doing okay. I know, Terry, you're a little tired. Jen, how you been?
I'm okay. I've been enjoying watching drama from all necks of the corners of the internet, and like I don't have any popcorn, so I guess that's my only woe.
There is a lot of drama out there. Especially the thing with Rakita, is that his name?
Yeah, after getting the initial story, I'm just kind of like I'm gonna leave that for the people in charge, because there's children involved. Sorry, Nick, you could be a nice enough guy, but I don't give a shit when there's kids involved.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything Nick Rakita has done, because I did not have even the slightest bit of interest in Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's case in terms of the legality of it. And like Rittenhouse, like I kind of got the gist. I
was all over Rittenhouse. The only reason I even knew who Rakita was specifically because I was all into what was going on with Rittenhouse.
So, like those are the two things I think that made him like as big as he was Rittenhouse and Johnny Depp. And like I wasn't sufficiently invested in either story to watch a legal analysis. Like I don't care. So I've never seen anything he's done, but I think that means I can come from a far more detached perspective. Like I don't give a fuck. It's like I don't know the guy. He sounds like a piece of shit if he's endangering his kids, but I don't care if this is the end of his YouTube career.
I brushed my hands of him actually more than a year ago, and I was like, it's not that I disliked the guy. It's just even without the drugs, I thought he had at least an alcoholism problem. And then I got those suspicious feelings that I got from that last time. And I've never financially supported Andy. But the minute I found out he spent money on cocaine, I washed my hands of ever thinking I would. And it's the same with Rakita. The minute I started thinking, you've got other problems that you aren't addressing, and you're using that money on really expensive booze. And so I did wash my hands of that, because I can still support a person, think that his position is really good. Like I did like what he was doing for Johnny, and I did like what he did for Kyle. But if I actually genuinely like you, I think you should get help before I give my money to you.
Oh, I mean, I think it's entirely possible to have a different opinion on like whether you like a person and whether you like their like beliefs. Like
I guess that's that bit of Christianity that I've never known the terminology for, but it's love the sinner, not the sin.
Right.
You know?
But like even the other way around. Like I can like someone and think their opinions are completely retarded. But that doesn't mean I don't like them. I just don't agree with them on a bunch of things. It's fine.
Yeah. It's just I also just don't support him destroying himself. And like like if that long ago I thought he had a problem, and oh my God, the pictures of him now. Like, I'm sorry. If anybody's really his friend and they're looking at him looking like that, you should be ashamed if you're trying to help him the way that you are.
No, absolutely. I think you're not much of a friend if you're enabling destructive behavior.
You know, like I don't agree with false charges either. Like, I don't think they are. I really don't. I think that the people involved are like, yeah, this is involving kids.
And I agree with Diva Dam. She says in chat that she thinks Nick should stay off the internet for a while. That would probably be a very good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, get some help for yourself. You know, it is about your kids. Your kids should always come first. Always. But drugs, I imagine drugs are an evil sin. And actually, he's not the only one on crack lately. Like, for some reason, crack has been a big hit lately. Hammer? What's going on in the U.S. and crack? I thought it was a fentanyl problem.
Well, it's probably both.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, why be picky?
Right?
Drugs is something that I never understood the appeal of. Like, I understand that people really, really like them to the point of getting addicted to them. This is not new information, but I don't understand why they're appealing to people. I just find the idea of being on drugs to be fairly awful. It doesn't sound like a good experience in the slightest.
Well, it's also what they can do to you. Like, I mean, I know I'm a bit of an ass because I smoke the pot and stuff. I don't doubt it does stuff to my brains that I'm going to be
the pot.
You know, I'll be
He
questioning
smokes the pot.
I'll be questioning my life choices later. You know, I know that, but crack, the stuff I've heard about crack, like, you know, it does affect your brain enough that, like, eventually you're mentally retarded. You know, so look, dude, you're a lawyer. I would think you'd want to be somewhat intelligent. Maybe not. I don't know. I've questioned a lot of things over the last couple of years on people I thought should be educated.
Well, they're finding out that marijuana affects the young brain, but the older brain doesn't seem to have a problem with it.
I don't trust anything, Hammer.
Yeah, these are the same people who told you that COVID was fixable.
Like, I think,
but we don't want to get into COVID because we can get in trouble there. So let's not talk about that.
I just believe in self-responsibility. Like, I do know that pot isn't necessarily good for myself, but at the same time, it's not crack.
I don't understand the appeal. Like I don't want to have my senses dulled by heroin, nor do I want to feel hyperactively anxious and on edge from cocaine. Like, those both sound like horrible things to experience. I don't know why anyone would want either.
I am so utterly boring. I have no real vices that I can think of except for I like fast vehicles. That's about it. Because I never did any drugs. I'm allergic to alcohol. Can't drink alcohol. You know, I've never been in, well, I can't say I've never been in legal trouble because that happens to everybody at some point in their life. But I find none of those things are, I mean, when I was 16, I tried to smoke for a year and I actively tried to do it for a year. And not only did I end up not liking it and stopping it, but I never got addicted to it. I just stopped it and was like, oh, well, that was interesting. What else is going on today? What's on TV? It just never got into me, never grabbed a hold of me and said, you must have a cigarette now. I didn't get the monster.
I'm the same. I don't like alcohol. I don't like drugs. I don't like gambling. Like all the traditional vices that usually destroy people's lives. I'm not really drawn to any of them.
No, me either.
It's not an appealing way to spend my time. Like, if you give me $50, there is a 1 in 36 chance I'll give you, $3,000 back. Like, I'll keep my $50. Thank you. Like, that's fine. I'm happy with what I've got.
I used to live not far from Atlantic City. I used to live just outside of Philadelphia. So driving down to Wildwood or Atlantic City or something like that didn't take very long. So what I would do is I would say, okay, I'm going to spend like going to the movies. I'm going to spend this much money. And I'm not going to spend anything more than that. And what I would do is I would go down to a casino and I would play with that money. If I ran out of money, I'd be like, that was fun. Let's go get something to eat. And that was it. Yeah. The other option is I have invested my 50 and I have made more than 50 back.
Right.
Now I take that 50 that I originally invested and I still have, and I put that away and I don't use it anymore. And I play with their 50 until I get more or less. And that way if I can get some money to play with, that's not mine. That's just a bonus.
That makes sense.
Keith says not even porn. Okay, I do enjoy porn. I'll admit to that. But I don't think in a way that is destructive. Like, it's not like I would cancel plans with my friends because I really needed to see porn. Like
Right.
like if you're doing something and it's not destructive to your life, I don't really think there's a problem with it. Like, if you are able to smoke and smoke in small enough quantities that it doesn't really damage your health, all right. I mean, go for it. If it's not something I would want to do, but I can say, look, that's not a problem if it's not impacting your health that much. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I am a porn enjoyer, perhaps, but I wouldn't say I am.
It would be like saying you're a movie enjoyer, right? It's just.
Yeah.
I have seen porn. I think every adult at one point in their life has seen porn, but it does not have a pull on me either, because two reasons. First of all, I've got a real girl, and that's a hell of a lot more fun than anything else you can do by yourself. I'll put it that way. And also, my imagination is so much better for me than an image on a screen.
Yeah, like,
so I don't really go to websites either. Like, I'm so boring.
If someone said, you know, I challenge you to go a month without looking at porn, I'm like, all right. I mean,
yeah,
I could do that easily. That's not going to be a problem. I have no reason to do that, but I mean, if you said, you know, I bet you can't, and I'll give you, you know, $1,000 if you don't. Like, all right, give me the $1,000 in a month's time.
It's been longer for me than that anyway. It's been maybe 6 or 8 months or something like that since I've been to a porn website, and that was when my brother came out to visit, and he was like, "Take a look at this," and he went on my computer and he says, "Look at this and look at that." I'm like, dude, I don't want to see this. Get this porn stuff off my fucking computer, man. Yeah. So I mean,
Tia says functioning crackheads and alcoholics. I mean, if you're spending money on this stuff that you need for other things, I think there's a problem. If you're indulging to the point that it's damaging your way of life, I think there's a problem. If you're just like, I don't know anything about crack, but if you're able to like recreationally smoke crack, you're not addicted to it. It's like a luxury once a month kind of thing.
Ooh,
okay, fine, whatever. But I'm pretty sure that that's not how most people indulge in crack cocaine.
6 just showed up and said, "I have a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell." So I had to give him the cowbell. Was that too loud?
It's a bit loud, but I mean, it doesn't matter.
It's hard to moderate because certain sounds come through the microphone better than others. So I think the cowbell comes through pretty clearly. I took a sip and just stirred it while it was close to my mouth, and then I realized, oh, it's close to the microphone too. Probably shouldn't have done that. Sorry.
Yeah, it sounded like you were really angry at your mug for a minute there. I was like, okay.
Nope, just took a sip. That's all.
It's all good.
Adam says he manages his herbal habits. I would question that. I would say there's a reason that people refer to you as Eagles balls. It's not meant to be a compliment, dude.
What? Eagles balls? What's that mean?
As high as Eagles balls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like that seems to be his default state when he's streaming, is that he's high as Eagles balls, and that's probably not good.
Well,
sometimes maybe.
I think it's a thing when you have a bit of if you're the type of person to have a habit where you will be a little bit of addicted to it. I hate to break it to you, but it might be better that he sticks to it just being pot. I mean, should you cut back? I need to cut back too, so I'm not judging him. But people with that habit will get more habits.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell Adam how to live his life. I'm just saying that there's a reason that you have that nickname. So maybe your management skills need some work.
Well, it's like that. It's like, well, if you could make all your habits something normal, like music and movies and games and stuff, and keep it to that, like, oh, you know, you're fine. But the thing with the smoking pot, like, I know that's not for everybody. I don't drink alcohol either, because the reaction I get to alcohol just isn't worth it. It just isn't worth the grief. So pot is just, I just feel more relaxed and I'm calmed down. I feel more chilled. So like, but anything that you feel like you kind of need to have, or like you're replacing food, or you're questioning whether or not you should buy food for your kids, automatically the drug should go.
That's an addiction when you get to that point.
Like, absolutely.
You know, and I know Adam thinks that way too. It's like, you know, I keep to the pot because it's the least of the demons out there. Like, it is one, but it's the least of them. But if I had to choose between that and a kid, no, that's going out the door.
I mean, I've tried pot exactly once. I was in Amsterdam and I thought,
if you're going to be there, right? It makes sense.
It would be silly not to do it while I'm here. Let's see what this is actually like.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything for me. I may have done it wrong. I'm perfectly willing to say that's a possibility. But all it did was, when I inhaled it, it kind of hurt the back of my throat, because it was that was pretty painful. And then I felt a little bit dizzy, but that could have just been from like not having enough oxygen, because the smoke was filling my lungs. But that was it. Like, I didn't hallucinate. I didn't particularly relax. I just...
Did you do it from a bong?
What's that?
Did you do it from a bong?
No, it was a cigarette.
Okay. Yeah, I had this weird thought that somebody gave you a bong, but then they gave you the worst part. So, like, I only know this. I don't use bongs, but I know this because of being taught by other smokers. But you have to clear out the pipe. If you don't clear it out, you're getting the dirty smoke.
Right.
Get Adam to explain that to you once.
I went to like a pot cafe, I guess, was like the basic idea. I bought some. I got the people that I was with, because I was part of a tour group, and like they were pot aficionados. They knew what they were doing. So like I got them to wrap it and do all of the thing, and like, all right, you know, put this in your mouth and inhale. It's like, okay. Yeah, that was pretty much my reaction. Yeah.
So, yeah, you might either not have gotten enough of a hit, or, and I mean, that's not a bad thing. Like, if you're trying to test something and you're not sure on it, like you're going to have less of it than the full amount. Yeah. And I don't blame you for that, because that's what I would do anyway, because you never know if you're actually allergic to it too. Better to take a half shot than a full shot, just in case.
No, but the other thing is, if it didn't hurt, like if it wasn't painful to breathe in the smoke, then maybe I would have smoked more of it. But like, I didn't want to scratch up my throat even more by inhaling a second time. So like, no. This will have whatever effect it has, but this is enough. I'm not doing that again. And it wasn't much of an effect.
I never even tried it. And I was told that if I was going to, that I should start with edibles, and take a small, because it seems to be a more consistent dose if it's in an edible as opposed to smoking. Smoking can get too much, too little, and it would be very hard to get one way or the other. But edibles are like, you know, the amount of THC is pretty much equal throughout the entire item. So you say, all right, well, I've made this item before. I know how powerful it is. If I give you this much, this should be enough for you to feel it, but not too much to overwhelm you. You know, also, whereas
I think it would have been a different experience for me if I had tried an edible, only in that it wouldn't have been painful to consume. So I would have been willing to try more of it. Like, if you give me a brownie that's laced with pot, then that's just like eating a brownie. It's not painful. Whereas inhaling smoke burns and scratches the back of my throat. It's like, I don't want to do that again.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I was told, this is, like I said, I've never tried it. I've never had an edible. I've never had any kind of THC at all. Although my brother is a bit of a pothead. But I've never tried it. But I was told by somebody who very much was very involved in this, and who is not now. They've quit. but they said if there's going to be a first time, he said, first of all, if it's going to be a first time, do it with me and my at that time girlfriend. He says, come over to our house, we'll take care of you to make sure that if anything goes wrong, we've already seen everything that could go wrong. We know how to help you and make you feel, safe and all that kind of stuff. He says, but if you're going to try this, he says, the best way you can go is edibles, because I can tell you exactly how much dose you're gonna get. It's like taking a pill. He says you're gonna get exactly this much, nothing more, nothing less, and I know how that will affect you. So you will get an effect. You won't get too much. You won't get too little. You get just enough for your first time. And really, whether it goes in through your lungs or into your stomach, the idea is the effect that gives you, regardless of how you consume it. So. Yeah, and I told him if I ever get the idea that I want to, I'll hit you guys up. But I never pursued it.
If I'd never been to Amsterdam, I never would have tried it either. Like, it was pure curiosity that was driving that. It wasn't like anything more than that. And once I tried it, it's like, okay, I don't need to try this ever again.
When was your first time, Jen?
I was 22. So I was already adult, and it was just through a coworker, and I just wanted to try it, give it a shot, and it did burn the first time, and it always actually kind of does if you like. I'm not really great at huffing at them, but I just liked it because it was just instantly like, oh, I feel relaxed, and I admit that what was illegal pot back then, because it wasn't legal. It's changed since then. Like, the stuff that's legal now is a very different, like, it's not just that it's a very different strain. They're breeding them for different purposes. So, stuff that you buy from, the legal pot stores, you're not going to get the munchies from them. Or if you do, it's like the rare bud. Whereas before, you knew right away that you were stoned, because automatically you would just get ravenously hungry.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. I didn't get any effect besides a slight dizziness, which is probably from the lack of oxygen while the smoke was in my lungs.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I mean, whenever I smoked it in the past, I would just really fill my fridge with like veggie trays if I could get away with it, because otherwise you're eating Doritos and pizza and shit.
We have gotten into several conversations without saying hello to everybody in chat. So why don't you guys go ahead and then you go first.
Alrighty, let me scroll back up. All right. Hi, Hammer.
Hello.
Hi, Rotten Corpse. Hi, Adam. Hi, Kachel. Hi, Kiverdam. Hi, Dear. Hi, Derry. Okay, and hi, Spittlebuggy. Hi, JB. Hi, Frosted. I know I had other people. Hi, Six. Yep, I think I got them all.
Okay. Terry.
We have Jack Dunsky. Some person here, something. He sounds like a loser. I don't like him. Cynic. Jen is in there. I'm not seeing a lot of other. Yeah, so Jack, Cynic, and Tier seems to be everyone over on Rumble.
Yeah. Good deal. I just didn't want to go through the entire night without saying hi to our audience.
Of course.
So we got to do that. I probably should go over the topics for tonight too. There's no chance we're going to get to them, but we'll go over them.
He might.
The first topic is deliberate. Not deliberate, deliberate. The jurors in New York City decide Trump's fate on the hush money case with Stormy Daniels. That has gone to the trial itself is over. We're just waiting for what the jury's going to say as far as whether he's guilty or not. My guess is he probably will be he will be found guilty. What will happen when he is found guilty should be interesting. I don't think he'll go to jail, but we will see. Louisiana Louisiana Supreme Court has decreed that the 10 Commandments are to be posted in all public schools. There is some pushback about the state promoting a religion or deciding on an official religion. Although there's a lot to talk about by that, but I won't get into it yet. And finally pushed. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Maybe it's not happening to you. Maybe it's just my feed. But I've talked to other people, and it seems to be not just me. There seems to be a sudden media push on X against Trump. I've seen a lot of people posting a lot of messages, a lot of new people just signed up in 2024. There seems to be a lot of churn, maybe bots. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of Trump hate on Twitter recently for no apparent reason.
I could see that also being lefties and Democrats coming back to the page, because some of them actually did leave X, you know? So I could see them coming back just long enough to pull that shit. And yeah, they do have bots.
I would ask do you use the For You or the Following tab on Twitter?
Well, this doesn't bother me, but I always use For You, knowing that I'm going to get stuff that's going to be from other people.
Right. I use both depending on what I want at that time. Like, I do want to see primarily the people that I'm already following, but sometimes I'm like, okay, I've seen all of that stuff. Let's see what the For You tab has to offer. But yeah, if you're using the For You tab, then it makes sense that you would be seeing what the algorithm is deciding to push.
Yeah. So I've talked to a few other people, and they say, yeah, they're getting it too. So it's not just me, but there seems to be a sudden push. And the old standbys are there, Defiant Dad and Joe from Jersey and all those people that you know are, yeah.
Well,
yes, they're both losers.
They really are getting desperate, though. Like, I mean, if you look at both Trump and Biden and just the Democrats in general, I actually think the Dems are in more trouble than they think. And it's not just to do with Trump. They really should be looking at their smaller cities. People like Tiffany Henyard really has people in their own neck of the woods really hard looking at their own. You know, because they have a hell of a lot more problems than Trump.
I think a ham sandwich would do a better job than a politician. So give ham sandwich for president. You've got my vote.
I've been keeping up with the polls. There's several YouTubers out there who go through the polls every couple of weeks, usually, you know, at the beginning of the month, then midweek, and then beginning of next month, midweek, that kind of thing. And they basically take all the polls that are coming out from all the pollsters and they amalgamate them. You make them into a meta poll where, you know, the poll they end up with is a combination of like 10 different polls from 10 different companies to try to get a non-biased look. Because there is definitely biased pollsters out there. Like The Hill is very much a left-wing polling company, but then Quinnipiac is very much right-wing. So you have, or I think it's backwards, but the point being, yeah, I know music. So to try to get rid of as much bias as possible, they kind of mix and match and try to get something that's very generic.
Right.
And like I said, I look at several different guys who are all doing this, and they put different values on different things. You know, like one guy will say, well, you know, this is a number. However, recently this state elected this governor who happens to be a Democrat. So even though it's a tie, I'm going to give this state to the Democrats. You know, technically it's a tie, can't give it to either one, but because something that is outside the polls could be a mitigating factor, he'll lean it in that direction. Then you get guys who follow the polls and nothing else. You know, if the polls that tie, then it's a tie. And that's it, you know. So you get these little variations in there, but it's basically the same thing. And if you look at the last one for end of May, which is coming up, the 29th, most of the polls I'm not sure how well you understand the Electoral College for the United States, but basically you have electorates and you have to reach a number of 270 to become president.
From what I understand, the Electoral College doesn't sound that complicated. Each state gets a certain number of votes or points, or however
depending
you
on
want to say it.
population, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
and then it's not done by the popular vote; it's done by the popular vote within each state, and so
Right.
that way you get a bit more representation of
Exactly.
like the less densely populated areas of the country.
Yes.
Whose
That's how
needs
you.
also need
That's
to be
how you
addressed.
run a republic as opposed to a democracy. That's
Yeah.
the main difference. Is that it's all based on
Yeah.
states, not on people. In any case, the latest one I have. Remember, 270 is the number you have to hit. The latest one I have is Joe Biden at 215 and Donald Trump at 323.
That's pretty hefty lead.
That's a pretty big margin. And
Yeah.
the last poll put Pennsylvania from tie to Republican. So the last election, Biden won it. This election looks like Trump's going to win it. So what's happening is, and the guy who did this last analysis, he kind of goes a little bit more in the deep end than the other guys do. And he looks at trends and that kind of stuff. And he said, look at New York. He says, you have to understand how unpopular Biden is because he won New York in 2020. He won New York by 26 points in New York. And currently, he's still winning New York by 9 points. So he's still winning, but he's winning by a lot less.
Right.
And that shows that even his own people don't like him that much.
No, I mean, no one does.
Yeah. So a lot of states that were one way, like Minnesota is now leaning Republican this term, where Biden won it last year by 5 points, or last presidential run, they won it by 5 points, and now Trump is leading. He flipped the state.
Nice.
And states that were solid blue, like there was no doubt that they were definitely going to go for, definitely going to go for Biden, aren't going for Biden as well. Like Washington, he won by 16 points last time and is leading by 5 this time.
Wow.
So he's still winning these states, but he's just not winning them with the gusto that he used to win.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the polls are correct, and that's always the question, if the polls are correct, and one of these guys adjusts polls based on the previous election. So if somebody won a state, say they were supposed to win the state by 8 and they won it by 1, what they'll do is they'll go back to that state this year and add 7 because the polls were wrong by 7 last time, so there's a guy who does that too. But all the polls, everything, if you look at all of them, all these guys are all doing these calculations. And they all use basically the same website to show you a visual representation of what's going on. They're all putting Trump as winner.
But I do think there was a show called Yes Minister, and that highlighted the problem with polls very, very effectively. Because the whole point is like the civil service wants to do a particular thing, and Bernard comes up and says, yes, but we did a poll and it shows that the public is in favor of not doing this. I was like, okay, we'll do another poll where the public is in favor of it.
Right.
Like he says it's like, obviously you just do another poll and this time they're in favor.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do you do that? Well, you get these questions and you get this result. And he demonstrates it on Bernard. He's like, okay, do you believe this? Yes. And this? Yes. So obviously you're in favor of this? Yes. And he's like, okay, but if we say this way, are you against this? Yes. Are you against? So you'd be against this. He's like, well, I have to say yes, don't I? He's like, of course, given your answers to the previous questions, you have no choice but to say yes to the final one.
Yeah. That's why I mentioned at the beginning that this is a meta poll. That means a meta poll is just a conglomeration of all the other polls.
Right. I'm just saying that. And like
try to get rid of that problem.
Yeah, that is a good way of at least mitigating the problem.
Somewhat. Hopefully, somewhat. You're still going to get variation, but yeah, no poll is that accurate.
No,
but the guy on CNN just last week, I don't remember who the guy was because I was just perusing through the channels, but I stopped to listen because he was talking about the upcoming election, and he specifically said, everyone says the polls are not very clear and polls don't work and polls are bad and all that kind of stuff. He says, but if you look back over the last 3 years, they're actually pretty accurate. And he started bringing up stats showing how, yeah, well, you know, so-and-so said this, but if you look at what everyone else was saying and you take that as a whole, he says, actually the poll was right on the dot. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just can't imagine. If anything, just like run Newsom if you have to. You know, if you're going to run somebody who actually could survive for 4 years. Because Biden's not going to make it, man. He's just not going to make it. I don't want Kamala in office. So put Newsom in there. Even if Newsom wins, at least there's a guy who has, I completely disagree with, but at least he has a head on his shoulders. He's not completely lost to all of us mentally. He actually has thoughts. He can have a speech. He can talk. He says the wrong things, but at least he can say them. You know?
See, I'm the opposite. I think I would rather a buffoon who does nothing than a malicious actor who does well.
Yeah.
Like Biden, like obviously Biden doesn't do anything. It's the people behind the scenes that do everything. But just in theory, Biden buffooning around and doing nothing is probably better for the country than Gavin Newsom actively working against it.
Yeah. Well, let's get the Canadian perspective on this. What do you think, Jen?
Well,
you've been
I
quiet
agree.
entirely too long.
Well, you know, you guys were going, so I love it. And I was like, well, I agree that I don't think Biden's going to last for very long. I don't know that I want to do the Gavin Newsom thing because I think I actually find it weird that he was not agreeing to anything yet because I think he knows everyone would rather that he runs. Which tells me that he's either waiting for a bigger number, which is more than they can afford, or they've made such a huge mess that even that guy knows he doesn't want to be involved.
Is it me or does Newsom kind of remind you a little bit of Trudeau?
Yes, because they exchange socks.
I thought you were going to say Christian Bale from American Psycho.
For Christmas, my prime minister and Gavin Newsom exchanged socks. You're welcome.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's silly. It just they kind of strike me as the same idea that, and I know you're probably not going to agree with me, but they both seem to be obviously younger, both a little bit more, shall we say, metrosexual. A little bit more concerned with their looks and being dynamic than they are about being right or wrong.
Also, if he's anything like my prime minister, keep him away from being president, because my prime minister, I don't doubt he relies on everyone behind the scenes to actually get the work done, but make no mistake, he's an authoritarian.
See, I was so hoping you were going to say keep him away from blackface paint.
Oh, I already made that joke. You'd be proud of me. The other week I was like, so hey THUR, you know how you lost your caramel coloring because of Biden? Biden's been selling it to my prime minister as facial cream. You're welcome.
Frosted had a point though. He says, I don't know, a leftist who could actually do what he wants might be even worse. And that's a good point. What I would say, yeah. But I mean, at least I can say that the guy made the wrong decision, but was capable of making the decision, as opposed to Rumba Joe, who's walking into walls, falling down steps, and can't finish a sentence.
I'm just saying that I would prefer quote unquote ham sandwich being like someone who is utterly incompetent and can't do anything, as opposed to someone actively working against the country.
Yeah.
It was in memory of Harambe's death. We could always just vote for him again.
I'd want Harambe over.
Dick's out for Harambe, absolutely. But I can't really think of a Democrat that I would really want in there anyway. I certainly won't want Kathy Hochul in there. You know, there's nobody that's going to be good.
No.
But anybody who can actually finish a sentence would be an improvement. Maybe it would be bad. Maybe you and Frosted are right. Maybe putting somebody in there who can be intentionally evil would be worse.
If the least you got from Gavin was that all he did was wander around and posture all the time and look at me, I'm pretty. If that's the only thing he did, at least that would be better than.
That'd be great.
That'd be better than Biden.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Like all you gotta do, sir, is walk around and look pretty. That's fine. You're good.
Yep. Yeah, just comb your hair back, slick it back like you always do, and eat at posh restaurants. That's your thing. You do that. Well, all this depends on whether or not Trump goes to jail. I have to run the music poll, so why don't you guys go on without me? Go on without me while I put this all together. This will only take a second.
But yeah, no, I think Frosted is saying keep Trudeau in face paint. It's the only time I have a little respect for him. If he did blackface again, like in 2024, then maybe I would respect him a little. I'd be like, okay, that takes balls. I currently don't think you have any, so it would be impressive to see you just be that.
He'd get away with it, though. You say that, but he would get away with it, though. Like the people who follow him would just be like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd laugh. I'd be like, oh my God.
It's yeah, no, I mean, I think I don't know who said it, but basically it doesn't matter who wins, like it's always a politician. And like I think that basically sums up the problem. Like no matter who you vote for, a politician always wins, I think was the way they said it. And I think that's basically my issue is like, yeah, it's like I don't want any of these people in charge.
All right, the poll is out. Tonight's featured artist is The Offspring. Songs are Hit That, She's Got Issues, Self-Esteem, and Come Out and Play. Come Out and Play is also known as You Gotta Keep Them Separated. Yeah, we talked on Rumble before the show and we picked out our favorites. I think without poisoning the well, that we have kind of an idea of the potential winner here, but we're not going to say anything until you guys have made your decision. So go out there and fill out the votes. The show is actually coming up pretty quick, and we're going to end literally in 15 minutes because we have things planned for after the show. So we need to get out of here on time tonight.
And who would we do for next week? Who's our P choice?
Ooh. I don't know. You're the one who comes up with all the names.
The most immediate thought is Prince. Like that's just the first thing that pops into my head.
We both hit the same thing. Good. At least I got one.
Because I'm like I can think of stuff like Pantera, but that's obviously not suitable.
Probably not gonna go on the list.
Same with Simon, maybe.
Maybe Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam, that's a good one.
Phil Collins.
I mean, Phil Collins gets a bad rap, but I actually like his music.
So do I. Pink Floyd. That's a P.
Oh yeah,
right?
Frosted says Pink Floyd in chat. And so does Gunsky. They both go immediately to Pink Floyd. I haven't listened to a lot of Pink Floyd, so I didn't think of them. But yes, no, Pink Floyd is a definite option.
Peter Gabriel.
Who?
Peter Gabriel.
Oh yeah.
Pink. I think I have a lot of songs from Pink. Can't really think much more of a P's.
Spittle says Pandora. I don't know who they are, so I don't know that band. Oh, Rotten says Papa Roach. I only know one song by Papa Roach. I don't know if they've got enough hits to qualify.
You guys are gonna have to work hard to beat Prince. That's a hard number to beat.
Yeah. I mean, that was just as soon as I thought of artists starting with P, Prince was the immediate thought for who it could be.
Well, it's in the right time period. It is. He's got like 45 hits I can pick from.
Yeah.
You know? And the music is the perfect kind of music for the show, so it's going to be hard to beat him. The only thing I could think of that would kind of fit would be Pink, but I'm not sure she has 4 good hits.
But given the choice, I would take Prince over Pink.
Yeah,
or Phil Collins. Like, yeah, I agree with Frosted and Jack.
Yeah,
Phil Collins an option too.
Oh yeah, like, I would take Phil Collins over either of them, but.
I also feel like I'd backtrack on the Pink because people still kind of resent you for Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Do they really?
No one resents you. They're just like, ew.
In case you were wondering, that was a I don't give a fuck response. But there's the thing that you have to be careful with Phil is, are we talking Genesis or are we talking Phil Collins? Right. We ran into that already with No Doubt, and I didn't realize until we already picked No Doubt that, this is not a No Doubt song, so.
You could go with, let's look up Phil. Let's see.
Which is true.
What's that, Terry?
Peter Gabriel has a song called Sledgehammer, so you might be biased towards him in that.
The Pretenders?
Oh, yeah, they're good.
I don't know if they have 4. I'm just trying to rack my mind here.
I can't think of 4 for the Pretenders, but I think they were big enough that they would have them. Like, I didn't listen to the Pretenders enough to know them.
Poison would fit, too.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know if we'd have 4 songs. That's the problem is we could pick good bands, but do they have 4 songs that people would recognize?
Right. I think so far Pearl Jam would be my favorite of the ones I've heard.
Yeah. There's a lot of good bands in there that has a lot of good music, but the categories are so defined.
You know who I just realized? The Police is another good band.
Ooh, that would be a good one, because that would be a lot of songs there too.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to stick with Phil Collins, because if you look into his own songs, like just songs where, he's got tons. He's got many where I was just like, yep. Sorry.
These are not Genesis songs. These are Phil Collins songs, right?
Yeah.
The
only thing I'd say is he's done collabs with other people. Like if you go to his own like record, like, the amount of times I was seeing Lionel Richie in some of his songs, I'm like, oh yeah, he had some good connections. And other people that I can't really remember because I closed my link.
Richard Head says Peter Cetera or Frampton. I don't.
You
know
don't have
enough
to
music by either of those people. So
Frampton with an F, Frampton.
No. Peter Frampton. You mean?
I know who Peter Frampton is.
He says Power Play. Don't know who they are. Greenback says Pestilence, which I'm sure is exactly the kind of music.
Frampton only had like one. Although he had like several good songs, he only had one album. That was it. Peter Frampton Live. That was it. He never did anything before or after. The funny thing is, I had Peter Frampton music before he did Frampton Comes Alive, which was his live thing. And I actually liked his studio music. And when he did Frampton Comes Alive, he did the songs that were on his albums. I was like, I know that song. I know that song. I know that song. I knew all the music because he had produced it before, like most artists do. But it literally was, if you listen to the music from the studio albums and then listen to the live music actually was a lot more live. It was more enthusiastic. It was brighter. It's just like somebody had said, okay, we'll just pump this up to 10. And that's what made that album a hit.
I do actually think it's a lot of that. Like once we went down the goth scene, which we've never really should have let them go down that, because they never wanted to come back from it. Because before the goth scene, it was so much more showmanship. Like let's make things bright and loud, and let's epic, make it American.
I see you, Rotten. Puddle of Mud.
Pyroman 500.
Frosted was saying that there's a hill named after Phil Collins, and it turns out it's Phil Collins Hill and not Hill Collins, and I am upset. So
it looks like Come Out and Play.
Sorry. I appreciate not everybody likes Phil Collins. Just like not everybody likes every artist. I just he's one of the few folks from the past that I'm like, yeah, I still remember most of your songs. They haven't done that yet, you know? They haven't gone into the you know, remaking old songs the way they have like remaking games and television.
We've got a tie for first, and I voted for self-esteem, so now I can't vote to break it.
Oh, you shouldn't have voted. You should have voted.
I know. I was like, oh well, the poll's over. I'll just go ahead and vote for self-esteem, and then I'll end the poll. And I voted for self-esteem. As soon as I did hit that, someone voted for that, and now they're tied, and I can't do anything. Somebody vote for one or the other. There's 13
I've
votes.
already voted, so I can't.
And you already voted?
Yes. Yep.
Somebody in chat. Richard, vote for either come out and play or hit that.
Or whatever you want.
No, because if he votes for one of the other ones, then it's not going to break the tie.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to run another one for the first and last and have you guys vote between the two. But if
well, does somebody have like a quarter? You could just roll a quarter.
I don't want to give anybody the idea that I could potentially change the vote.
Yeah, I mean,
purpose like that. Oh,
you know what you should do?
Suddenly rolled the heads. Here we go. We're gonna. I don't want to do that.
You know what you should do? And I know this means me challenging your OBS skills, which that's fine. We could do that. If you go online, there is a quarter that's an online flip heads coin. So it's AI generated.
Everybody could see it, right? If I took my screen and put it on OBS, I could probably do that. Thank you, Richard, for voting. Who didn't vote? Somebody didn't vote. Vote, damn it. I don't want to run another poll.
Yeah, I think is it 13 watching 13 votes? I think you might need to.
Mommy. All right. I will force you guys to make the selection to pick one or the other. Damn it.
We can do it. We can do it.
The problem with flipping a coin is that not that I don't trust Hammer. It's just that it's hard for everyone to believe that. Like he could just say, "Oh, look, it came up heads," and how the hell would we know?
That's why I said the app. I would just use one of the apps. There's like 5 or 6 of them, but they're free apps.
But,
I would set that up ahead of time. I'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said for later. Like I wouldn't do it right now because you'd have to set up with your OBS. So could it be really easy? It's just I wouldn't want to. You know what I'm saying. But no, I wouldn't do it with a coin that you couldn't prove. Like if Hammer had use of a camera where he was like, "See, you could see my table."
All right, now if you guys make this win, I'm just going to pick one by closing my eyes and pointing at my screen.
Yeah. All right.
It's 50-50.
Yeah,
57-43, 62-35.
Okay, so it's
right. 9
it's
votes.
got a clear winner. It's got a pretty clear winner at this point.
Yeah, I got to give everybody the chance to vote. I can't just.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like it'll be a tie because one of the options, and to avoid people deliberately drawing this poll, I won't tell you which.
I don't think they could break it now anyway. 9 votes.
But one of the polls is considerably ahead of the other.
Yeah, 67-33. So they're pretty close. All right, we could do that.
Hell, if you were okay with using the camera, what would be funny is if you used a dice. Like I know it's the same idea.
Oh, and just do it on top of my desk and just point a camera at my desk, right?
Yeah, and it's like just use like the D&D, logic for
use a D20 and use a percentage. Well, if it's below 7. All right, come out and play as one.
Okay, cool.
I had to get it done because
60/40 is still pretty convincing, I think.
yeah, my stats just died on me. For some reason, I guess whenever you run a poll, it kills the stats. Let me put the stats back up again.
And Frosty says he's just glad that you left out Pretty Fly for a White Guy. Hammy usually tries to avoid like the super famous ones.
Yeah. Cheers. Music.
But yes. If Pretty Fly for a White Guy was on the poll, I would not have voted for it. I still would have gone for Self-Esteem, which was my first vote, and then Come Out and Play for the second one.
Paste. All right. So Come Out and Play will be our... And speaking of which, it's 9:57. So to get us out of here at 10, I think I'm just going to stop here. Because I got an outro to read and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yep.
Unless you guys got something you want to talk about, I can't imagine.
Well, Frosty wants to know what Offspring's armor class is, and I don't know yet.
Armor class?
Yeah.
How come World of Warcraft armor class?
Well, because I went with the D&D route of.
I got you. I got you. I'm not paying any attention here. All right. Well, let's get out of here then. Thanks, famous. Oh, I should probably start the music that we're discussing.
Yes.
I did something different with this, I think. No, I didn't. Never mind. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember the Minions are live every evening, including weekends with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Posts and start times are linked in the description down below. Don't forget about the Rumble pre-show. We had a lot of fun this Wednesday, on the Rumble pre-show, so you should stop by and hang out with us. We will, of course, be back next Wednesday from 9 p.m. as usual. Hope you guys enjoyed this show, and we will see you next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.